She had a stack of tables waiting for her, but she was stuck outside a VIP booth waiting for an answer. The music and chatter from inside the booth was deafening, and it was clear they either couldn't hear her or were ignoring her last call to booth 10. Kelly muttered as she tapped hard on the partition. "I've got other tables to attend to." The partition slid open to reveal a young woman in designer clothes staring at her. Behind her, a group of 10 was dancing and drinking. "Finally, we've been waiting for a waitress for ages," the woman snapped, pointing into the booth. "Sandy spilled her drink, and it's all over the place. You'll have to clean it up, and it's only been 7 minutes since you called, and I've been knocking for 5. Nadia replied. Her smile was strained as she pushed her cart of cleaning supplies into the booth. "Didn't you hear me?" "Excuse me?" The young woman put her hands on her hips and glared. "Are you accusing me of not hearing you?" "I don't think so." She grinned and closed the partition. "But I have a solution for that." Before Julia could react, the woman pulled a string of jingling, colorful wind chimes from the ceiling and wrapped it around her neck like a garish necklace. The laughter of the other women in the cabin filled the air. "Now I'll definitely hear you coming," the woman said with a grin. Kelly was mortified. "I'm not wearing this." She tried to remove the chimes, but the clinking sound only made the women laugh louder. "Well done, Nadia." They cheered. The leader of the group, clearly enjoying the spectacle, put them back on. Nadia pointed at Kelly. "Or do you want to be out of a job? Maybe you'd rather be rummaging through garbage? That's where someone like you belongs." "Ooh, good one." The other women crowded around. "This isn't your restaurant," Kelly said. "Actually, it is." Nadia said in a condescending tone, "You obviously don't recognize your boss, and to be honest, you don't fit the vibe of my place. This is a high-end establishment, and you are lowering the tone." Kelly had no idea who this woman was, and her anger overshadowed any curiosity. She managed to throw the chimes aside and glared at Nadia. "No matter who you are, you don't get to treat people like this." Just then, the door burst open and Mr. Smith, the new owner of the restaurant, burst in. Julia's initial relief at seeing him quickly turned to fear as he glared at her. "I'm so glad you're here, Dad. That waitress is useless and lazy." Nadia's face was triumphant. "That's enough, Mr. Smith said in a cold voice. "I've heard everything, and I will not tolerate this kind of behavior in my establishment. You're about to learn some respect." Julia stared as Mr. Smith approached with a fierce glare. This spoiled brat really was his daughter. Mr. Smith looked ready to fire her. Kelly tried to speak, but Mr. Smith cut her off with a raised hand. "I'm talking to you, Nadia," he said, pointing at his daughter. "You have shown no consideration or kindness. This woman," he pointed to Kelly, "is an example of hard work and respect. She's a better person than you, and you're going to work alongside her until she tells me you've changed." "What are you talking about?" Nadia's face twisted in disbelief. "Starting tomorrow, you will work as an assistant to this waitress until she says you've improved, Mr. Smith said firmly. Julia covered her mouth in surprise. She thought she was going to be fired, but instead, her wealthy boss was punishing his own daughter, while her friends recorded the entire exchange. "No way, you can't," Nadia protested, her hands in the air. "I can and I will, Mr. Smith replied, walking back to the partition. "This is not negotiable." Nadia was stunned at how harsh her father was being. He didn't even care that her friends had posted the video of him scolding her all over social media. To save her reputation, Nadia decided to turn the situation into a vlog. Hey guys, welcome to my first day as a waitress, Nadia said as she filmed herself walking to the service entrance. If you haven't seen my dad yelling at me, you need to check it out. He was so intense and really nailed the act of being mad at me. Nadia giggled and tossed her hair. She'd had her stylist do her hair before work, and while she was a little late, it was worth it to look good. This series is about showing what a normal job is like. Nadia smiled at the camera as she walked into the break room. For every like you leave, I'll donate 50 cents to charity, right? Hey, Kelly grabbed Nadia's phone and turned it off. No phones at work, she said, and you're late? You get a reprimand and a fine if you're late. Restocking and organizing all the spy stations is today's punishment. Gross. I'm not doing that, and give me my phone back. I was live. Your phone will be sent to the manager's office for safekeeping along with everyone else's, Kelly said with a grin. And if you want me to give your dad a good report on you, you'll have to start now. This is so unfair. Nadia huffed, leaning against the stack of napkins Kelly had folded. You have no idea how ridiculous it is for someone like you to have so much control over someone like me. Someone like me. Kelly pulled the napkin stack under Nadia's elbow. What do you mean by that? You know, someone who really works. Nadia gestured at Kelly and at the piles of plates and silverware on the table. I'm sure you've seen the movies where the peasants are working in the fields for the nobles. Well, you're the peasant and I'm the noble. Kelly's jaw dropped, and she made a funny sound. It was part laugh, part snort. Nadia took a step back, wary of any possible disease. Kelly snapped. She put the napkins on a cart. If you keep this up, I'm going to have to supervise you indefinitely. Now start filling those spy stations, or I'll have to report you to your father, Nadia yelled. You're so uptight. Julia rolled her eyes and pointed at the shelves. Get to work. Nadia glared at Kelly as she left the room. How dare she give orders like that and then walk out? She continued to stare at the door as she reached for a bottle. Nadia screamed as she slammed into the shelf, sending several bottles crashing to the floor. One hit her shoulder and landed on the folding table. The cap flew off, spilling a yellow sauce with a strong odor onto the neatly folded napkins. Nadia scrambled to grab the bottle and put it back on the shelf, cursing under her breath as she tried to clean up the mess. What the hell? The more she tried to wipe up the sauce, the worse it seemed to spread. She rubbed harder, but all she did was spread the yellow stains across the once pristine napkins as voices approached. She quickly rearranged the napkins to hide the stains, grabbed a random assortment of cleaning products and dumped them on a cart in the corner. She hurried out of the room and followed the signs to the supply closet. She opened the door and pushed the cart inside. She let out a relieved laugh. No one would find out about the stained napkins. Now Nadia's laughter died as she took in the sight of the disorganized inventory. How am I supposed to get through this? Groaned Nadia, leaning against the wall and staring at the cluttered shelves. She muttered. As she picked up a box of silverware, the door swung open. Kelly called from the doorway, glaring at the unattended cart by the door. Have you started yet? Does it look like I've started? Nadia snapped. She tossed a handful of silverware into a garbage can and stormed past Julia to the door. Nadia, if you leave now, I'll have to. I don't care what you have to do. I'm going, I get it. I don't care if Dad disowns me or whatever. Nadia slammed the door behind her. Tatiana Eleganaya, July 20th, 2024, 7:49 p.m. Nadia shook her head. She knew Mr. Smith would not be pleased with Nadia's behavior, but at least she had given it a try. She returned to the dining area, quickly picked up the slack from the tables Nadia had neglected, and continued to serve customers with her usual efficiency. Until the end of the night. She was exhausted, but relieved to have survived the ordeal. The next morning, Kelly arrived at the restaurant early in hopes of avoiding any further confrontations with Nadia. She was pleasantly surprised to find Mr. Smith waiting for her in the break room. "Good morning, Kelly," he said with a warm smile. "I wanted to apologize for my daughter's behavior yesterday. I had hoped she would learn something valuable from the experience, but it seems she has a long way to go." "It's okay, Mr. Smith," Kelly replied, trying to hide her surprise. "I understand that she may need more time." Mr. Smith nodded. "I appreciate your patience and professionalism. I'm afraid Nadia will not be returning to work here. But I want you to know that your efforts have not gone unnoticed. As a token of my gratitude, I'd like to offer you a promotion. How would you like to become the head waitress here?" Kelly's eyes widened in shock. "Are you serious? That would be great." "Absolutely, Mr. Smith confirmed that you have proven yourself to be a valuable member of our team, and I have no doubt that you will excel in this new role." Kelly thanked him profusely, feeling a mixture of excitement and relief. The promotion was more than she could have ever hoped for, and it felt like validation of all her hard work. As she walked through the restaurant, she couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of purpose and pride in her work, while Nadia sulked in her bedroom, scrolling through the comments on her latest video. The reactions were mixed. Some people thought her father's actions were justified, while others sympathized with her. She knew she had a lot to think about, but for now she was more focused on the immediate fallout. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Nadia, can I come in?" Mr. Carter's voice called from the hallway. "Yes, whatever," Nadia replied, not bothering to hide her annoyance. Mr. Smith entered and closed the door behind him. "We need to talk." Nadia rolled her eyes. "If this is about the job, save it. I'm not going back there." "I know, Mr. Smith said, sitting on the edge of her bed, "and I'm not going to force you, but you need to understand that your actions have consequences. Life isn't just about having fun and getting what you want. It's about responsibility and respect." Nadia was angry, but she didn't interrupt. "I love you, Nadia." Mr. Smith continued, his tone softer now, "but you have to learn how to be a better person. I'm willing to help you, but you have to be willing to help yourself." Nadia looked away, feeling a mixture of guilt and stubbornness. She didn't want to admit her mistakes, but a part of her knew that her father was right. "Think about it," Mr. Smith said. "Get up, and remember, I'm here for you when you're ready to talk." As he left the room, Nadia lay back on her bed and stared at the ceiling. She had a lot to think about, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of determination to change. Over the next few weeks, Kelly settled into her new role as head waitress. The staff respected her, and she found herself enjoying the added responsibility. She even got a raise, which made her life a little easier. But Nadia wasn't done yet. One day, while the restaurant was bustling with customers, Nadia slipped back and unnoticed. She planted an expensive piece of jewelry in Kelly's locker. Then she left a note for Mr. Smith, suggesting that Kelly might be involved in a theft. Later that day, Mr. Smith called Julia into his office. "Kelly, we have a problem," he said gravely, holding up the jewelry. "This was found in your locker." Kelly's heart sank. "I swear, Mr. Smith, I didn't take it. Somebody must have put it there. Mr. Smith looked conflicted, but nodded. I believe you, Kelly, but we have to find out who did. Until then, I have to suspend you with pay while we investigate. Kelly felt a surge of emotions, anger, fear, betrayal, but she nodded. I understand that Kelly was determined to clear her name, so she reached out to some of the coworkers who had seen Nadia that day, and with their help and the security footage from the restaurant. It didn't take long to piece together what had happened. Confronted with the evidence, Mr. Smith felt a deep sense of disappointment. He called his daughter in to discuss what Nadia had done. Nadia, you need to explain yourself, he said as he held up the evidence. Tiffany, cornered and ashamed, finally broke down. I'm sorry, Dad. I was jealous of Kelly. I wanted her to look bad so I could feel better about myself. Mr. Smith sighed deeply. You have to understand how serious this is, Nadia. Kelly could have lost everything because of what you did. Nadia nodded, tears streaming down her face. I know I'll make it up to you, I promise. With Nadia's confession, Kelly was reinstated. Mr. Smith offered her an even bigger raise and additional responsibilities as an apology for the ordeal. Nadia, on the other hand, began therapy and community service. She learned the value of honesty and hard work. In the end, both women grew in their own ways, learning that life is about more than immediate gratification. It's about respect, hard work, and a willingness to change. And while their paths were different, each found a sense of purpose and fulfillment that had been missing.